How y'all doing today? Welcome back. Uh, this day is a little different. Um, um, this place is this is something special to me. This is in my heart. Um, this is the 5-year anniversary of my grandfather's passing, and you know, it's tough some days. I'll probably get into that more um, at the end, but this is basically like it's I'll get into it more like throughout the poem, and when I discuss the poem afterwards. So without further ado, let's get into it. I know we've all moved on, and you've been long gone, but it seems as if it was just yesterday when you slipped away. There's a lot I wish I could say, but I found ways to keep my mind at bay. Some days thinking it was a dream, that you didn't see me turn 18, hoping it was some sick joke and you were still alive. That will come to me even when I'm 35. This gave me the drive for you to be proud of me, where even though you're gone, I can still let you go free. You know, thank y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all watching this video here. It's tough for me to, or sometimes it's tough for me to express the way I'm feeling publicly, or you know, if something is, if something is either bothering me or it's something that is tough for me. It's kind of hard to like fully express it like perfectly. But like I said earlier, it's been 5 years since he's been gone, exactly on this day, and it still affects me. It affects my family, my mother, my grandmother, absolutely. Everybody. he's been there for my life. You know, he's been there for my entire life. He's not my mother's father. He's not my biological grandfather, but um he is my grandfather. He was there for me since I was born to, 17 birthdays. Um, from my first 17 years, he was one of my he was one of my male figures. He was one of my few male figures. In a predominantly I don't like using, in a predominantly female family, he was one of my few male figures that was able he was able to give me wise words, and he had jokes for days. He wasn't afraid to give you a good hit or scold you. But me and my cousins, we'd always make jokes about it. They would be foolish. They'd act like some fools. Get out of line sometimes. He would or or he would have like memorable things that he said that we always used to laugh about. And me and my cousin always used to laugh about, and they used to always say it. And then they made it into their own thing. One thing also about him was you gotta understand that because of where my family came from, like they didn't have much of anything, so they kept that mentality. Even coming to America, they kept that mentality for the longest. So with him, if certain things needed to be fixed, like tables or floors, like the carpet, or like we had this little side table that held calendars and stuff like that, and it's instead of buying new stuff, I don't think this is just like West Indian parents or anything like that. I think this is a lot of black parents do this. If you don't have a lot, you try to save the stuff that may be broken. Try to salvage it as best you can until it can't be fixed at all. So what he would do is, if the carpets were torn at the seams, he would tape them together and tape them to the floor, and tape the if something was falling apart on the tables, on the side tables and stuff, he would tape them to the wall. So there was nothing he couldn't fix. There was nothing he couldn't fix with duct tape. he there wasn't any place in the apartment, in that house, in that space. It wasn't a house because we live in an apartment. So in that apartment where you wouldn't see some duct tape holding stuff together. That's and don't even get me started on the little critters that'd be crawling around. Like, nah, you rarely ever seen infestations in that apartment. Um, oh my goodness. He used to, the thing that I was talking about earlier that my cousin used to make fun of. This was like a family thing. If you don't understand it, that's okay, because it's a family thing. But he used to tell me and I have a bunch of cousins and aunts and stuff. I have a big family. But my two main cousins closest to my age, the three of us always used to hang out at my grandparents' house, at my grandparents' part of the apartment. And anytime that we were around him, and like they always, I don't know how they were able to get me into their foolishness. I was just going with the flow. I was just a normal kid. Or I was just, trying to hang out with my cousins. But they were always into foolishness. They were some bad kids. But they always used to get into trouble with him. And if they were saying some foolishness, he would say, "Shut up, boy." And then if you hear it, like, there's a certain accent that he puts onto it. Like, if you're West Indian, you have the broken English. There'd be that certain accent that's put onto it. And when they used to pick on me and stuff, they used to say that same thing to me, making fun of him. It was like it was in a funny way. So then they started with "Shut up, boy," and then they did and then they changed it to they shortened it to "Atta boy" or "Atta boy," where it sounds like "Atta boy." And then they just took the B out and just became "Atta oi," and then we knew exactly. Three of us knew exactly what it meant when they said that. It was just you might not understand what I mean, but like when you're with your cousins and stuff, you understand there's like certain things that is like it's like inside jokes and stuff like that within cousins or within family. So they always used to say that, and then it became, I said "Ada." I said "Ada." I can't even say these things up with a straight face, because it was just a bunch of foolishness. I can't tell you the other stuff, the other foolishness that they got into, but y'all, if you raised in a black family, you understand. You know what foolishness I'm talking about. You know which foolishness I'm talking about. But but we'd always remember like the foolishness. I used to go up like so. I don't think I mentioned this before, but so where we live, this is an apartment in it's an apartment in Venice, um, where it's a 3-story apartment, Section 80, no biggie, but it's we're on the second floor, and then they were on the third floor, so it was always easy access to me if I didn't want to. If I was getting in trouble with my with my parents, specifically my mother, if I was getting in trouble with my mother, um, I would I used to go up to them. She was looking for me. I used to go up to them and hide under their table and stuff. She wouldn't know. Sometimes she would know. It's because like she caught on to it. She caught on to like where I would be going. Um, but when she went upstairs, uh, my grandmother knew what it was. My grandfather knew what it was. They wouldn't say a word. Or they would say a word, but they would say that they didn't see me. So, what good grandparents do, I got your back. I got your back. I know you try to get away from some homework, or you try to get away from a whipping, or you try to get away from getting of trouble, or whatever it is. Um, no, don't get it twisted. They would give us, cause see, um, me and my 3 girl cousins who are from, they're from North Carolina slash Atlanta. They used to live here, but when they were younger, they were living here, and we used to get into some foolish behavior, especially with those 2 cousins I mentioned. So the 6 of us and a family friend that used to live here in these apartments. Um, we used to get into some foolishness, some mess. Um, I mean, we didn't have very many places to go, so like we didn't have like a backyard. We didn't have a real space to go because like the park by us, it was um it was like bad activity over there. There was usually bad activity, so we wouldn't be over there very often. Um, but we would be in our technical backyard. Uh, we'd be in there playing around, fooling around, running around, doing what kids do. But then we did stuff that bad kids do. Like we were some bad kids. Or I'm not gonna say you boy not gonna say he was a bad kid. He was just, you know, caught up doing stuff that, you know, bad kids. I guess bad kids do. Or you just, I was just trying to go in with the flow. I was just doing what I do. But um, they were getting into all types of mess. But but the 3 girls that I mentioned specifically, me and them, we would be like, it would be the oldest was closer to my age than the other 2, and she would always be trying to lead. So back and forth, back and forth. Um, but we be doing some mess in the apartment that call for some whippings, some ear grabbings, uh some uh soap on the tongue type stuff. Um, so I can't really tell you, like, the kids named the belt. I'll just say that the kids named the belt. I can't really tell you the name of the belt, but um, but it sounded like it would fit. It somewhat fit what what we were experiencing. I'll just say that. And even one time, um, the oldest of the three, she got hit here, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing it." So I I ran out. I ran out the door, tripped, um, almost fell down the stairs trying to get away from that. And I was just like, "Whoo, not today, not today." Uh, um, it was funny to me because um um it was funny because he always had stories. I'm not gonna say he was like, he definitely wasn't passive. He definitely wasn't passive, but he was between between him and my grandmother. He was more um he was slightly less strict. Um, he was more of the scold you, and she was more of the, but you know, he was like, if y'all have seen if y'all have seen Last Avatar, and you know who Uncle Iroh is, he was kind of like that. He would tell me, like, he would like tell his proverbs. He was a wise old man. He was, you know, um he was more calm, uh you know. He was definitely more active than my grandmother was. He was more active. And I'll tell you one another thing is that um they were they were devout Christians for sure. They were devout Christians for sure. Um, you know, church on Saturdays, Sundays, um, you know, mosque on Friday, where it was a point where, you know, at from from 6 o'clock, from 6 o'clock dusk on Friday to 6 o'clock dusk on Saturday. So from Friday evening to Saturday evening, um, it would be in worship. And so when I was younger, um, if I was there, you know, if I had to, because there were times where I had to stay there because my parents weren't around. They were either at work or they went off uh, to some trips. So my grandparents had to watch me. So they would be obviously as a kid you want to see some TV, but no, it was and it was, you know, darkness. I'm not gonna say that that's important, but but we would pray we would pray certain days before I went to sleep, and and you could forget about not going to church because you going to church. And so, like when I was younger, I was definitely going to church with them every Saturday. I know most people go to church on Sunday, but that wasn't our church. We went to There were two churches that we went to. It was one in Lancaster and then one on, what was it? Uh Slauson and Figueroa. So it was two different areas, but they were a distance from where we were. So we had to leave extra early to get there on time. But, you know, as a kid, you don't want to wake up extra early, to be in there standing up like this. Because, you know, best believe I accidentally caught some sneeze. I accidentally caught some Z's sometimes. But, they were very strict with their churching. Very strict. And it's understandable because you don't go there with you don't go there with some foolishness. Like, all are welcome, but you can't be on your nonsense. You gotta be you gotta come correct when you go there. So so there'd be some times when I didn't have stuff to dress with, and he would give me his old vest, because I didn't have stuff to wear sometimes. So, or at least clean stuff to wear sometimes. So, um, he gave me his old vest to wear, and I wore that. And when I came back wearing that, my mom saw me and she was like, "Never wear that again." You look like an old preacher man or something like that. I forget. But she said never to wear that again. And I said, I didn't say anything because I didn't really realize I didn't know what was going on really, because I wanted to uh I wanted to sleep in on Saturday mornings, like, because I don't know if I was up. I don't know if I was up the nights before, but I definitely didn't want to be up at 6 in the morning to go there for uh 8 o'clock. I had to be up at sometimes not even 6, sometimes 5:30, depending on whether we were going to Lancaster or Slauson, depending on which one. But I got stories for days on this. I got stories for days. Uh, because I don't want to make this video super long. I feel like I've already done it, but uh, but like, I have stories on him for days. But because I remember it was either the weekend before or the Monday before, because it was a Wednesday when it happened. On that Monday, I remember we were watching this show um, about the many ways that people die. If you know what show I'm talking about, or many ways that people could die. If you know what show I'm talking about, then you know. But it wasn't even like it wasn't even like that though. I don't even think it was a foreshadowing or anything like that. We were just watching, and then it piqued my interest, and then I was just watching it for years after. But it was just we had a good conversation. We were looking at the foolishness that they were going to put into, and um, I forget what I talked to him about, but he gave me some wise words though. Um, he was always somebody to give wise words. Like I told you, he was Uncle Ira. Um, but he was more calm-headed, light-hearted, um, type of human being. And um, I remember going to school that Wednesday and not expecting a thing to happen. And then on when I came home, there's usually a light on my there's usually a light on the side of in the front of the apartment. And it's usually on. It's usually on. More times than not it's on. But I saw that that was off. That the light was off and it flickered off. I didn't think of it as a sign. I didn't. But then um I talked like I was in my room watching either basketball or I was watching YouTube videos or something like that. And my mother got a call from upstairs saying that, you know, he passed in my grandmother's arms. And my mother, I didn't know until she came downstairs panicking and she let me know what was going on. And then I was panicking. I was going through some stuff, and we both ran upstairs quick. And she had been up there for like a good half an hour or so. I didn't even realize what was going on. She had been up there for a good half an hour before she came downstairs because she she tried to revive him. She was talking to the ambulance, the paramedics before until they and was doing what she could until they came. And then by the time I went upstairs, they were there trying to revive him. And we were sitting there worried. Everybody, uh, my family, they lived all over LA, and they all came from some from the valley, some from South Central, some from Hawthorne, Inglewood, wherever we were at the time. They all came to see if he was going to make it, and and he was unresponsive. And once we found out that he was gone, then um, all my aunties, my mother, um, they all they all were crying crying his on his chest and balled up. And I saw all that, and it made me feel some type of way, obviously, because this was somebody that had been in my life. It was close to me that I didn't expect to be gone like that. But you know, when I looked at my brother, cousin, dad, uncle, when I looked at them, um, it was mostly just, it was mostly just watching. Because obviously men have to deal with things their own way. Um, so, like, I wanted to cry, but I could. It just wasn't coming out. It wasn't coming out. It wasn't working. And and I saw my cousin finally crying in my auntie's arms, his mother, and it made me feel a little safer because most of the men were, not stone faced, but you know, as especially as black men, like we're apparently not allowed to cry. So when situations like this happen, like, you know, but I wanted to cry. I wanted to, but I couldn't. And then what finally made me tear, what finally made the my eyes just flood was my mother holding me and telling me that it's okay to cry. It's okay. Regardless of whether my dad was or my uncle or my brother was or whoever it was, um, I finally just, I was, my eyes were flooded and I was blubbering. I was, I couldn't, I couldn't let it, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I couldn't. And, and, and it hurt me even more because, um, I mean, I was getting ready to turn 18. I was gonna graduate that year. I was gonna graduate from high school like a few months later, and and I wanted him to see me graduate and or at least turn 18 because I was like 2 weeks short of 18 at the time, as I am 2 weeks short now, but or 2 weeks short of 23, I guess. Yeah, uh, you know what I mean. Um, but it really made me uh, like I said, it gave me the drive. It made me work harder um, to get that diploma. Obviously, I was gonna get that. That wasn't an option. I was gonna get that, but I held it up high on graduation day. I held it up high and with him in mind, regardless of how the rest of or how the crowd was, because there was a lot of people. Obviously, at graduation, there's gonna be a lot of people, but like it was mostly stone faced there. But honestly, I didn't really care because I already know who I had in mind, and my family was cheering and this and that, and then I know he was looking down on me cheering. You know, I know he was proud of me that day, and he's gonna be proud of me when I graduate from college. You know, and I know he will. If there was a good way to go, he went the best way. Lying in my grandmother's arms, just that this is it. Just going like that, you know. He didn't he didn't get shot, he didn't get stabbed, he didn't get killed or anything, you know. If there was a peaceful way to pass, he definitely had it. And you know, I'm glad. I thank y'all for listening to this video. I'm gonna put another one up in 2 days or so.